we flutter our eyes open, and I'll invite you to turn to page 120 and to please rise for our candle blessing.
So we bring in all that happened today and this week. We bring in the light and energy and love of Shabbat, the beauty and rest of Shabbat as we sing our bracha together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
Shabbat Shalom. If you would like to light your own Shabbat candles or home, we'll invite you, if you'd like to light your own and come on forward. If not, if you're going to remain at your seat, I'll invite you to please be seated. Shalom Aleichem, welcoming in the Sabbath Angels, page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Barchuni l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Melech, malachei hamlakim hakadosh baruch hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei
turn back in our prayer book to page 138, where as a part of this prayer l'chadodi of welcoming the Sabbath bride, in the second verse we get to say, "Come with me to meet Shabbat, forever a fountain of blessing. Still it flows as from the start, the last of days for which the first was made. Come with me to meet Shabbat." Each of us has joined together today, this evening, this Shabbat, to be with one another. And so don't forget that. Look around. Know that we are surrounded by our community. We know that because of COVID, we have a lot of folks joining us online this evening, but we are here. L'chadodi 138.
L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, Emanu-El hamiuchad, Adonai echad, Shemo echad, Shemo tiferet v'letihila. L'chadodi, l'chadodi, l'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nei lecha, ki hi mikol Shabbat Tefillah Lecha Dodi Lecha Dodi Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nikabela.
We rise and face the door.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala Gam nesimcha uvetzora Toch emunei am segula Boi chala
Face forward.
Lecha Dodi Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nikabela.
Our call to worship, our Baruch Hu, can be found on page 146. We remain standing.
Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamivorach. Baruch Adonai Hamivorach, Hamivorach Leolam Vaed. Hamivorach, Hamivorach Leolam Vaed.
Friends, the words to roll into dark can be found on the back inside cover of your prayer books. It's winter, so the evening has already rolled in, but when we call out to God, recognizing that creation, we continue to be co-creators with God. Roll into dark.
Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Oreyom balayla, golelor lifnei choshev, golelor lifnei choshev, v'choshev lifnei yom. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night.
We stand tall, we feel our feet on the floor, perhaps the words on page 152. We declare God's oneness with love. Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu.
seated, we turn to page 154 as we prepare to chant the Ve'ahavta. This prayer is all about being Jewish. It's a prayer that says, be proud to be Jewish. Mark it on your house even. It's okay. It's something that lets others know that you are here and you are here to stay. It's that neighborhood that you drive through and you wonder, you're in this new place. Oh, anybody Jewish? Any mezuzot on the doors of the homes nearby? It's a powerful thing to feel seen. And Ve'ahavta is a call for us to have the courage to be seen. We'll chant together 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 157 at the top. I'll invite us to pray together. Standing on the parted shores of history, together, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Mi Chamocha, our prayer of freedom, page 158.
Ya Eli, Ya Eli, Eli, Ya Eli, Eli, Ya Eli, Ya Eli, let's sing that again. Ya Eli, Ya Eli, Ya Eli, Ya Eli, Ya Eli,
Before I formally begin with my sermon this evening, I just want to reiterate what Rabbi Spike sent out on our behalf earlier this week, that we have significant security measures in place, visible as well as out of sight. And so know that as upset as I am about last Saturday's attack, I'm confident about my safety and about yours as well. And I'm sad that these are the measures that we must put in place, the money that we must direct towards security instead of programming, education, social justice initiatives. But we also can't do that sacred work until we feel secure in our home. And friends, last Shabbat was gut-wrenching. It was really, really hard. And this one hit even closer to home. And even though it took place in Texas, I saw a suburban Reform synagogue. Not the biggest one in the surrounding area, small Saturday services, a rabbi just trying to be kind and do the right thing by welcoming in a stranger to the sanctuary. Colleagues who very much know Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker and the wonderful rabbi that he is. It just felt too close to home. But thank God that this did not end with the headlines like so many other attacks in recent years. These are the attacks that have rocked our souls just since 2014, and only here in the United States. I'm starting from 2014 because that is actually when it truly struck my home, as in my hometown at the Jewish Community Center in Overland Park, Kansas. So 2014, Overland Park, Kansas, my community's Jewish Community Center, a shooting. 2016, Columbus, Ohio, restaurant displaying an Israeli flag, machete attack. 2017, Charlottesville, Nazis walking the streets chanting, "Jews will not replace us," a car ramming. 2018, Pittsburgh Tree of Life Synagogue shooting. 2018, Los Angeles, attempted violence toward 2 men outside a synagogue, car ramming. 2019, Poway, California, Chabad of Poway, shooting. 2019, Jersey City Kosher Supermarket shooting. 2019, North Miami Beach, Florida, while unlocking the front doors of the synagogue shooting. 2019, Muncie, New York, Hanukkah celebration at the home of a rabbi, stabbing. 2020, Delaware, Chabad at University of Delaware, burned down, arson. 2021, streets of New York City, physical attacks on visibly Jewish people. 2022, Colleyville, Texas, synagogue hostage crisis. And that's only to name a few. And so I want to be very clear about something, and that is that this latest hostage crisis was an attack on the Jewish community. The terrorist did not go to the mall, he did not go to a government office, he did not go to a church. He selected to cause terror and fear at a synagogue on Shabbat morning during prayer time in the name of one of the oldest anti-Semitic tropes, that the Jews would have the power to do something for his cause. And there's nothing random about that. So if you've been made to feel like, oh, maybe this isn't really about us, he was focused on the release of the terrorist in the nearby prison, no, full stop. This was an attack on the Jewish people. And thank God, I don't have to read a single name from that building on our Kaddish list this Shabbat. But my sermon, it'll pick up again with words before Misha Berach, and we'll be doing that for a reason, because we need healing individually and as a people. And Dr. Deborah Lipstadt, she put it eloquently in her New York Times article this week. She said, "We are shaken. We are not okay, but we will bounce back. We are resilient because we cannot afford not to be. And that resiliency is part of the Jewish DNA, or what I would call the resiliency of Jewish souls. Because without it, we would have disappeared centuries ago. We refuse to go away, but we are exhausted. And so we review our safety protocols. We continue to push for education and conversation about the Jewish people and our history. We come together in prayer. We come to synagogue. And we come to synagogue because this is our sanctuary. We come to synagogue because this is our Beit Knesset, literally our house of assembly. And we assemble to remind ourselves that though we may be small, we are mighty. And we assemble to tell the world that we are not going anywhere. And as Rabbi Citron Walker put it, going back to the synagogue it won't be an easy thing, but it's a really important thing. A synagogue is a house of assembly where we gather as a community and pray together. So let us join together in prayer, asking that God bring more love and understanding to our world. We call out for that Sukkot Shalom, that shelter of peace, to cover our sacred spaces, our sanctuaries. Hashkivenu, the words can be found on page 161 and 160.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Lishalom. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Lishalom. Ve'havidenu, Shomreinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu, Sukkot Shomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Lishalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
On page 162, we have words of Vishamru, our special prayer that we get to say on Shabbat. And I'm thinking a little bit of, so I have this text group that not group, it's individuals, a group of individuals who I text every Friday afternoon, say Shabbat Shalom, everybody gets a little check-in. Some of us, have been doing this a long time, 10 years, something like that. And I change the message every week a little bit, Shabbat Shalom smiley face, Shabbat Shalom heart, Shabbat Shalom I hope you get a chance to relax, that kind of thing. And one of my buddies, he responded, "Ugh, if only I knew how to do that." And I was like, man, that's Shabbat, that's what's coming. This is your chance to just be, put down your phone, read a book, watch some TV, just try to be present in the moment. And I think that's what Shabbat asks us to do. I think that's what God is calling on us to do. And so we get to thank God for giving us this Shabbat with these words of Vishamru 162.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat, ledorutam, we sing again, Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat, ledorutam berit olam, b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam le'olam, b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam le'olam, v'shameru b'nei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat, ledorutam berit olam, ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, ubayom hashvi'i Shabbat ha'yin nafash, v'shameru b'nei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat, ledorutam berit olam, v'shameru b'nei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat, ledorutam berit olam.
We'll turn to page 164 as we prepare for our central standing prayer. I've been teaching a Hasidic class, a class about Neo-Hasidut, the new Hasidut, and it wouldn't exist without Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, who happens to have a little gem here at the bottom. If you haven't ever, always look at that bottom under the line. There's some really nice pieces that exist down there. So this one's the one at the top. It says, every word of one's prayer should be like a rose that is picked from a bush. One gathers rows upon rows until a bouquet is formed and can be offered to God as a beautiful blessing. Let us make a beautiful bouquet. Our Amidah, please rise, page 164.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agitehi latecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imot, u'Mevi Gehula livnei v'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo v'Ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשמי עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You take a few moments for silent prayer. If you'd like to pray through the rest of the Amidah, it concludes on page 180, or perhaps you'll turn in towards your heart for these silent prayers. When you've completed your prayer, I ask you to please be seated.
We're going to join together in these words from Psalm 121 on page 643. And as I was turning to this page, I noticed this blessing for social justice and how connected it is truly to this psalm. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'yirdof tzedek.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, sovereign creator of the universe, who makes us holy through your mitzvot, commanding us to pursue justice. And may we be reminded that we not only pursue justice as individuals, we pursue justice as a community together in partnership with God. Esa Enai asks, where does my help come from in those times of need, in those times where we are searching for justice, we are acting to pursue justice? My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. Shir lamalot esa enai el heharim me'ayin yavo Ezri ve'im Adonai ose shamayim va'aretz hayitel lamot raglecha ayanu shomrecha, im lo yanu
few announcements this Shabbat. So if you haven't had a chance to check out Rabbi Spike's Pirkei Avot class that he taught last time, good news, there's a part 2, and you don't have to have been a part of part 1 to participate in part 2. So his lifelong learning course is starting not this Tuesday night. This Tuesday night is your last chance to catch some learning about Neo-Chassidut. And then the next Tuesday will begin Rabbi Spike's series on Pirkei Avot, Guide for the Perplexed. It's the ethics of our fathers. So we very much hope that you will get the chance to study with Rabbi Spike in the coming weeks. And so, friends, though there may be lots going on in the world that isn't awesome, we are complex humans who hold many emotions at the same time. And this is the time where we get to share the good stuff, the things that have lifted us up in this past week, whether it's birthdays, anniversaries, or a good grade on a test. I'll invite you to raise your hand. We're not, because of Omicron, we're not doing microphones passing anymore, but I'll say what you say for everybody joining us online as well. I'll start. So say your name first. I'm Rachel. And this week we had, just yesterday, was Zohara's 1-year heart anniversary. So 1 year ago yesterday, she came out of her open heart surgery. And she's doing great. Others? Yes. She did. Happy birthday, Shayna. Yes. Ah. Wow, wow. So Norman and Harriet got the chance to go to Seattle to be with family they had not seen in person in over 2 years. Wow, thank you. Reese.
This week I got free work at the Shift Summer Camp here at the temple for the summer. I'm very excited.
Oh, Reese, you're working at Schiff?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you'll work with Zohara. Nice. Yes.
I'm celebrating the anniversary of my 39th birthday.
39th birthday, yes, anniversary of it. Wonderful. It's 29th. I thought it's 29. 29th. All good. Happy birthday. It is actually, it's today. Anybody on this side of the room? Wonderful to be with family for Shabbat. Yes, thank you, thank you.
I am just so grateful for all of my family, and really grateful for all the time that we spent a lot of time on the phone this week, which was really nice, really special.
Awesome, wonderful, wonderful. So for all of these good things that are in our lives, we offer a blessing of Shechianu, page 648.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'hikianu hazman hazeh. Amen.
So I have to be honest, I don't have very many friends who aren't Jewish. I have plenty of Facebook friends, but not many in my day-to-day life. And yet, I have to tell you, it really hurt that I didn't hear from a single non-Jewish person of my generation by phone or on my Facebook feed on Saturday or Sunday or Monday. Not a one. And like I said, I might not have that many people who are not Jewish and I'm very, very close with. I do have a handful. Didn't hear from them either. But Facebook, everybody from high school, that kind of thing, they're still there. I appear in their feed despite the Facebook algorithms. I know it. I didn't even get a care emoji. So the only 4 people that acknowledged what happened on Saturday were 2 of my mom's friends and 2 of my dad's friends. Not a single non-Jewish person from my generation said a word. And I also didn't see anything posted about it on their Facebooks. You know, those same pages that are filled with posts about social justice every other day of the year. And like I said, we know Facebook has its algorithms and such, but nobody, not a one. And so I did something which I don't normally do, and I wrote a post reflecting my sadness. And I did something that I highly recommend. I hadn't done this before. I turned the comments off for the post, and instead I concluded with this. I said, I've turned the comments off on this post. Be brave. Send me a direct message. I'd so appreciate it and would love to hear from you. Your Jewish friends are hurting. From that message, I was sent a direct message by 2 of my friends, happened to be Christian, and one said she didn't know that the event had occurred. She had no idea what had happened that Saturday. And the other who said she kind of knew it had happened. She hadn't seen my other posts from the other day, but she caught this one. And then I had 2 others who, took the time to ping the post with a care emoji. But look, this isn't about Facebook. This is really a metaphor here. It's a representation of larger issues. And it's a reminder that sometimes the Jewish community only has each other. And I know this isn't the full story. I have colleagues, and maybe even you yourself, those of you here for Shabbat services, maybe you did hear from friends of other faiths this past week, checking in to see how you're feeling. But I can tell you, because I'm in a Facebook group with lots of them, that I am not a lone rabbi or Jewish person feeling this way. I received far more messages from the Jewish community letting me know that my post said what they had been thinking, that they were hurt and upset that no one from other faith groups had reached out to them. It was just crickets, complete silence. And perhaps ironically, as Jews around the world sat down to study this week's Torah portion each row, we were reminded that though we may not be hearing from folks that we expected to in this moment, there are people outside of the Jewish community who deeply care for us. And now Jethro, he may fall under the category of Jewishly adjacent as the father-in-law to Moses, but at least in the Torah scene that I'm going to describe, he was not Jewish. In fact, he was a Midianite priest. And yet he reached out to Moses, who by this point in our Torah was in trouble, because Moses was exhausted along his journey, trying to guide the Israelites through the wilderness. And so Jethro offered the following teaching to Moses. He said, "You will wear yourself out if you do this on your own and you don't enlist help. No person can take on this challenge alone." That's good advice for us today as well. That we, the Jewish people and the Jewishly adjacent, cannot be the only people fighting anti-Semitism. And Jethro continued his teaching. He said, you need to also find capable people who have awe for God, honest and moral people. Let them help. When they feel like they don't know the answer, they'll bring the issue to you. But make it easier for yourself by letting them share the burden with you. We need other communities to help us with the burden. We cannot be the only people fighting anti-Semitism. But what do we do when no one else is even paying attention? We call it out. We shout it from the rooftops, and if they haven't sought us out, then we take it upon ourselves to look for the helpers, honest and moral people who will join us in this fight in raising awareness about the anti-Semitism that we face. And so if you are like me and no one reached out, let those people know that you are hurt. Let them know that you need them to know that you are in pain. And if it is still the case that no one reaches out, then it is time to call them in and let them know we need help. And we can't depend on people to be mind readers. They're not. We have to let them know, even if we feel they should know better. And if you have received an outpouring of love and concern, reach back out to those people again. Say to them how thankful you are that they did reach out. Encourage those friends and allies to always reach out. Encourage them to reach out to all the people that they know who are hurting as well. Again, Dr. Lipstadt put it best. She said, among those morning blessings that are a part of Nisim B'chol Yom, our prayer for daily miracles, there's a line in there, one that thanks God for opening up the eyes of the blind. Jewish eyes did not need to be opened. But this week we wonder if the eyes of our non-Jewish friends and neighbors, particularly the ones who didn't call to see if we were okay, perhaps those eyes have been opened just a bit. And I too would add a blessing from our Nisim B'chol Yom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam matir asurim. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, who frees the captive. Shabbat Shalom. So may all who are in need of this healing of the mind, body, soul, relationship, the heart, may we use our Misha Berach prayer to feel the love of community, the hope of our community, for the healing of our community. And within our community, as we are each week, we are especially praying this Shabbat for healing toward Pesha Rachel, Brett Samsky, John Margolis, Ya'ari bat Samuel Verut, Meir ben Rachmiel Vedina, Yeda bat Yosef Lev Miriam, Caitlin Sylvie, Levi Sylvie, Gloria Carfrey, Mordechai ben Moshe Va'atara, Ashish Sharma, Chava Yeta bat Yehudit, Howard Ackerman, Ken Schiffer, Helen Ray, Kathy Cook, Ludmilla Koven, Michelle Lappin, Florence Rosenberg, Nella Kurtzer, Daniel Bronson, Beverly Northrop, and Bernard Stern. If there is somebody who you are thinking of this Shabbat asking for prayers of healing, I invite you to share that name aloud as my eyes meet yours. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Friends, I'll invite us to rise and turn to page 371. If you're sitting next to your pod, wrap an arm around, and we'll join together in these words.
refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. These next words you'll pick up. Let us sing this song for the turning of the world, that we may turn as one. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our turning. With every voice, with every song, oh, we will move this world along. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our turning. Let us sing this song for the healing of the world, that we may heal as one. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our healing. With every voice, with every song, oh, we will move this world along. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our healing, and our lives will feel the echo of our turning.
Friends, I'll invite us to remain standing as we continue to sanctify Shabbat with a little bit of Kiddush. The prayer can be found on page 123.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikolim, v'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava v'ratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
Friends, we will once again remain standing as we begin to conclude our service. We'll turn to Aleinu L'Shabeach, can be found at the bottom of page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We have reached the point in our service where we honor our loved ones, those who have died in recent days as well as in seasons past. So on this Shabbat, we are in a period of Shiv'ah for Ernest Tischler, a period of Shloshim for Gilda Jacobson and John Ken Deline. On this Shabbat, we observe the yahrzeits for Ethel Berkowitz, Carol Lynn Birnbaum, Hyman Brown, Arthur Lewis Brown, Minnie K. Bush, Howard Chaliff, David Drazen, Charlotte Dusheko, Lawrence Eichison, Ann Ellison, Leon S. Epstein, Rafi Fink, Sam Fruchter, Roger Goldberg, Mitchell Grazer, Henrietta Grazer, Aileen Eisenberg, Helen Kahn, Annette Katz, Hyman Kramer, Mary Lee W. Levin, Elsie Levy, William G. Loventhal, Mabel Cohn Loventhal, Marie Lynn, Harold Niemark, Leonard Paul, Phyllis Rosenthal, Barbara Roth, Lil Rothberg, James Schoenberg, Iris Schwartz, Florence Sirkin, Nathan Smith, Stephen Smukler, Ann Trackman, Leonard Tuckman, and Paula Weberman. If there is a name for which I mispronounced or one that I accidentally skipped, I invite you to please share that name aloud at this time. If you are in the first 30 days mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise so we may recognize you. If you are in the first year, Yud Bet, mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise so we may recognize you. If on this Shabbat you are observing a yahrzeit, a death anniversary of a loved one, I invite you to please rise so we may recognize you. And if it is your custom to rise for Mourner's Kaddish, as it is here at Temple Emanu-El, I invite you to do so now. The words can be found on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam u'amei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, Vit hadar, vit ale, vit halal, shemei kudusha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'asei shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen.
Oseh shalom, bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.